Coming up on this week's travel show, hello and welcome to this week's travel show with me, Ade Adepitan. Now it's a beautiful day and I am in my home city of London where the international tourists are slowly returning and it's so good to have them back. Well, over the last couple of months, I'm really pleased to say that everyone on the show has been able to do a fair bit of travelling too. And I know the whole team is really happy that they've been able to get back out there again, especially after all the restrictions that we've all had to put up with over the last couple of years. So this week, we're going to have a look back at some of the places that we've been to as the world starts opening up again. Okay, first up, back in March, Carmen went to Chile. Now, you're not going to believe this, but this trip was arranged and cancelled a total of 4 times because of COVID. Well, I'm pleased to say she finally got out there and it was definitely worth the wait. Vamos, Carmen!
In the Chilean region of Arica, on the northern fringes of the country's Atacama Desert, you'll find clues that something significant lies beneath the ground. Hidden in the sand are some of the oldest mummified bodies in the world, evidence of an overlooked culture that once lived and thrived here on the western coast of South America.
It's amazing how close these skeletons are to the surface. And apparently there's layer after layer after layer of bodies going down as low as 2 meters underground. This is crazy. I feel quite strange walking on the dead here.
Between 7000 and 1500 BC, the hunter-gatherer Chinchorro people called this area home and developed complex mummification practices which have astounded 21st century researchers. Last year, Chinchorro burial culture was officially recognized by UNESCO, who placed it on their World Heritage List. And many hope this will transform awareness of these remarkable mummified bodies.
When you think of mummies, you think of the ancient Egyptians wrapped in bandages. But these guys here, the sticks are where bones are, there's masks. And what's fascinating is these smaller mummies of children and babies.
Further along the coast, at the small fishing village of Caleta Camarones, just some statues and a Chinchorro-themed restaurant indicate that this is in fact the closest town to one of the world's top sites where the Chinchorro mummies have been found. There are said to have been so many mummies buried here that locals find them on a regular basis.
So before we came here, some people said you could see the mummies in the ground, and some said you couldn't, so I wasn't really sure what we'd find. But while we were having lunch, we got talking to the guy who runs the place, and he says he can show us some mummies in the ground, and it's 2 minutes down the road, so we're on our way.
Currently, the mummies buried in the ground are being left there by archaeologists for their protection. And as we approach, we take great care not to disturb any of the remains.
Wow, it's so close to the road.
Aquí tiene los vestigios de una momia chinchorro. Se ven bastante en toda la ladera de este tipo de momia, pero...
What was it like growing up here? Did you see many mummies when you were a child?
Sí, había mucho más que antes, más que ahora, o sea, había más vestigios de momia y salía en ese tiempo, esos años, salía en la mañana, salía el aroma, el olor de las momias y después en el día se normalizaba. Habían enteritos, Se veía entero, los pies, la cabeza, todo.
So Vivian, how many mummies, chinchorro mummies, do you think are buried in the hills here?
Es probable que en toda esta colina, en toda esta parte alta del barranco costero, hayan miles de momias en el subsuelo. Y como desde este pequeño segmento de la costa del Pacífico nos revela este pasado milenario que es un aporte a la humanidad.
Wow, that was unbelievable. You know, it's one thing to see these things in a museum and totally a different experience to be there in real life. Like, I could have been standing next to one of the oldest mummified human remains in the world.
And with the care and recognition the mummies are now getting, the unique chinchorro culture seems set to be remembered for some time to come.
I think that's mind-blowing that those mummies are actually thousands of years older than the ones that I saw when I went out to Egypt for the travel show. But that's what we're all about on this show, taking you around the world and bringing you knowledge. Okay, for those of you who are regular viewers to this show, you'll know that I've got a little bit of a speed advantage over what I'd like to call you good old-fashioned two-leggers because of my wheelchair. But there are certain places that I've always wanted to visit that sadly are inaccessible for me. However, thankfully, that's changing, as I found when I travelled to Athens back in April. The Acropolis is Greece's #1 tourist attraction, and pre-pandemic, over 3.5 million people climbed to the top each year. One good thing to come out of the lockdowns was there was finally the time and the space to make the site more accessible to those with mobility issues.
Just seen a sign for disabled entrance, I think, yeah. You know what, it's still a mission to get up here. I can see why the ancient Greeks were so fit. You have to be a god to get up this ramp. Let's do it. Which way am I going? This way? Thank you. Remember when I said it was a 15-minute hike up some stairs to get to the Acropolis? Those are the stairs I'm talking about. Wow, I'd never make it up there. Hello.
But help is at hand. All I have to do is catch my breath and admire the scenery as I wait for the brand new lift built to comfortably accommodate 2 wheelchairs at a time. But not everyone sees it as an improvement, with some critics calling it a modernist eyesore. Well, I think it beats climbing flights of steps any day of the week.
This is all right, look at this view. This is just, I mean, this is an extra part of the trip. This is a part that only we get. All the other good old-fashioned two-leggers have to go up the stairs. And this is what I'm talking about.
After just 40 seconds in the lift and using the Acropolis's new accessible paths, I get to experience all of this. The Acropolis has a long history, and over its time it's been used as a fortress, a mosque, and it's even been blown up. But its headliner has got to be the Parthenon, a temple dedicated to the ancient Greek goddess Athena, who gave the city of Athens its name.
Now I get to experience the Acropolis and I get this wonderful view of the Parthenon. This is brilliant. I want to take these concrete slabs home.
But improvements is not a word some would use when describing the work carried out at the site.
Not everyone is happy with the renovations that have gone on here at the Acropolis. You know, some people have complained about the concrete slabs being laid down, saying that it's hiding the original features of the Acropolis and even wounding the stone here. But I've been told that these slabs can be raised and you'll still have the original features. And actually, look, this is some of the original stone and it's smooth anyway.
Rival historians claim the work carried out is a means to get more tourists to visit and is disrespectful to the site's diverse past. I'm heading down to the Acropolis Museum to meet a man who knows a thing or two about ancient history, and he believes the ancient Greeks themselves would have been okay with this upgrade.
Ancient Greek civilization, culture, is an anthropocentric culture. That means they created their gods in the image of themselves. Zeus, Hera, Aphrodite, and so on. And between them, they had Hephaestus, a very hard-working metalsmith and very powerful god. And he was lame.
Wow, that's incredible. Disabled gods or gods with disabilities. I'm learning so many new things. This is amazing.
There are plans in place to make the site even more accessible with the installation of further paths. I, for one, think this attraction is setting a good example to historic monuments throughout the world, and I'm really happy that I get to experience the Acropolis now.
Making ancient Greece accessible. I mean, what's not to love about that? Right, don't go away, because there's loads more great stuff to come on this week's travel show, including Christa taking a whiff of the past in Amsterdam.
It's not great.
We've got tourists slowly returning to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and Lucy makes a new four-legged friend who's helping to uncover the secrets of Pompeii.
Good dog.
The temples at Angkor Wat in Cambodia are one of the most famous destinations in Southeast Asia. But get this, tourist numbers there dropped by a staggering 90% during the pandemic. Now, way back in 2020, we were over there to see what kind of impact this was having on the livelihoods of people in the tourist industry. We've recently been back there again to see if things have improved.
The last 2 years has been very difficult for me because I totally lost my job and I just got nothing else to do. Just like many other people who survive from tourist industry as well. Yeah, it was something that we never encountered before in our whole life. It's hard to describe. Sometimes just want to cry, talking about the tough time that we had no job and no any support. I miss people who used to come to visit my country. Yeah, I really miss the walking through the temple, my explanation to people, and also the ways I try to make people happy. They are excited and they're so happy to see tourists walking in the street, walking around the temple. Yeah, even not enough to give job to people yet, but yeah, when we see people coming, we, have like a good sign. Nice people, we have beautiful temples and a lot of beautiful places around Cambodia. So it is something that they should come and have a look in their lifetime.
Wishing everyone out there in Cambodia the best of luck. And yeah, why not add it to your bucket list too? Right, to finish off this week, we're going to have a little bit more history. In a moment, Christa is going to experience what the canals of Amsterdam smelt like 300 years ago. Whoa,
Good luck with that one, Christa. But first, back in March, Lucy headed to the ancient Roman site of Pompeii to meet a new four-legged friend who's helping to uncover more secrets from the past. Woof woof!
This is one of the most archaeologically significant sites in the world. The Roman city of Pompeii was destroyed almost 2,000 years ago in 79 AD, when nearby Mount Vesuvius erupted. Meters of ash buried everything, freezing this catastrophic moment in time until its rediscovery in the 16th century. Walking through the streets of this ancient city under the shadow of the active volcano that destroyed it is actually quite unsettling. Today, new technologies are helping to preserve this invaluable record of Roman life in the 1st century. Drones are helping to map the site, robots are rebuilding frescoes, sensors are monitoring seismic activity, and thermal imaging cameras are helping keep a check on humidity, helping staff to act quickly if potential danger strikes. But the real star of the show is, without a doubt, this four-legged robot that, bizarrely, looks like a dog. Good dog. So Paolo, I've got to be honest, I am geeking out over this. This has got to be the coolest, most elaborate robot I think I've ever seen in my life. So talk to me about what I'm staring at. There's a lot going on here.
It's an incredible piece of technology. Yeah. It's a machine that is able to move around autonomously and is able to bring with it some other technologies, other payloads. Here now you see a computing power where we can run our software, and a laser scanner. That is a special laser scanner that is able to scan while the machine is moving. And the robot itself is able to avoid obstacles, to move autonomously in an environment like this one. And also, since you can upload artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms on it, you can bring AI wherever it is required and it is needed.
By using a combination of technology and a fresh, more inclusive approach to ancient history, the authorities here in Pompeii are hoping for a successful tourist season in 2022, after being closed for almost 2 years.
Scientists say there's a link between smell, memory, and emotion, and now they're using that connection to enhance our travels. In fact, one group has started amassing a library of historical smells in an attempt to bring them back to life. The plan is to use them in museums and on walking tours.
Hi. May I come?
Yeah, come.
What an incredible place.
Yeah, isn't it wonderful?
Is this all original?
It's more of a drugstore, you might say, between grocery and apothecary.
The project's not based in Amsterdam by accident. This city, Inga argues, is a rich hunting ground for ancient pongs.
So I guess back then Amsterdam would have been quite a smelly place.
Absolutely. It was called the beautiful lady with the stinking breath because of the canals, which looked wonderful, but evaporated a foul stench of not only the privies that were leaking into the canals and all the factories that were there, but also of the cadavers of animals that ended up in the canal.
Not all the Dutch smells are bad, though. In fact, to ward off the whiffs, many of the nobility carried pomanders, a kind of perfumed ball.
So what we did is we actually tried to recreate a pomander smell from an old Book of Secrets recipe. If you pump it, and then you can just pump it in front of your nose and smell, and maybe use both of your nostrils, and then try to...
It's lovely.
Yeah, it's fresh, right?
It smells like just a really good air freshener.
But it's not just a novelty. Inga's keen to show me how the walking tours that are being planned can offer a whole new layer of historical detail. This is where the Dutch East India Company used to unload silks, spices, herbs and tobacco from all over the world. In the 17th century, there must have been a lot to smell.
Smell this scent that we also created.
So do I wave it?
Yeah, wave it under your nose. Maybe don't wave it too close.
I mean, it's not great.
It's not great. No.
Is that what the canal would have smelled like here?
There are indeed elements of polluted canal smell. So it has sulfuric.
I mean, it has a kind of bathroom smell.
Yes, more excrement, urine components in there. But it's also the sulfuric component also leads you from the water to the military mine, to the gunpowder that was actually stored in this building. This is the headquarters, or used to be the headquarters of the Dutch Admiralty. And so they were the military force that went with the East India Company to actually enforce labor, to make use of all kinds of violence to get that luxury spice trade into the Dutch Republic.
This isn't just a touristic novelty. Time, money and expertise have been spent making these smells as accurate as possible. And if there's one thing they've taught me, it's that the past was a pretty stinky place.
Now, after watching that, I bet you're glad you can't actually smell what you see on TV. The whiffs of 17th century Amsterdam brought to life just for you right here on The Travel Show. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, Venice. As Europe's travel hotspots brace for a bumper summer, Carmen's in Italy testing the controversial new crowd control plan that'll add a daily fee to your Venetian holiday.
Che purtroppo veniva un sacco di turismo che non portava a Venezia neanche il denaro di un caffè. Allora vieni qua, sporchi, lasci le tue immondizie, non dai a Venezia neanche un euro, magari fai una cosa simbolica, 2-3 euro, adesso non ti dico cifre mostruose, sono un minimo.
Well, if you're desperate for more and you can't wait until then, don't forget to check us out on social media using all the tags on your screen right now for more travel content from the BBC. But until then though, from me, Ade Adepitan and the rest of the Travel Show team, it's goodbye.